Hello, church family. It's Wednesday, and it's time for another Wednesday Minister Moment. In John chapter 4, Jesus and his disciples are walking through Samaria. And as they walk through Samaria, they come to this well, and Jesus sits down at the well while the rest of the disciples go into town to get some food because it's in the middle of the day and they're hungry and they haven't eaten for a while. A woman walks up who is carrying these jugs to be filled with water. She comes at noon, and this is when no one else is around other than apparently Jesus. But why does she come in the middle of the day? Because most women come in the morning. They can talk to each other and fellowship with each other and get their work done together. Many speculate it's because she really wasn't looked upon in a good light. That she was someone who had a bad reputation and the other women wanted to stay away from her. And so she came by herself. But Jesus began to talk to her. He asks her for a drink of water. And that was unusual because Jesus is a Jew and she is a Samaritan, and Jews and Samaritans don't mix. They don't talk to each other. But Jesus talked with her. He asked her for a drink of water, and then he began to talk to her about spiritual things. And this conversation went on with him treating her with respect, talking to her about things that were important to her spiritually. She discovered that Jesus knew a lot about her, and that amazed her. And then she discovered that Jesus was the Messiah, the chosen one of God who was sent to rescue his people. She was so excited about this that she ran back into town. She left her water jugs there, and she ran into town to tell everyone about Jesus, even the people who didn't respect her. And as a result of her sharing that good news with others, there were many who believed in Jesus. Now, as this woman ended her conversation with Jesus and began to run back into town, the disciples saw that. He saw that that Jesus had been talking to this woman. And they were surprised by it. And they came back with food, and Jesus says this. He says, "I have food to eat that you know nothing about." And they wonder, well, what is he talking about? Did somebody else bring him some food that we didn't know about? And then he goes on to say this, "My food is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work." Jesus was saying that his food was actually to do the will of God, to do what was righteous, to do what was right. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus makes this statement. He said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." I think Jesus is alluding to the same idea in both of these situations. Jesus knew that man didn't live by bread alone, that he lived by every word that proceeded from the mouth of God. And as we listen to what God tells us, if we want to truly follow him and do his will and follow what he teaches, then we will do those things that are right, those things that are good. Think of it like this. Have you ever been in a grocery store, maybe a Walmart, and you saw someone in front of you who needed help with their groceries? You knew that they needed the food, but they seemed to be coming up short, and you ended up making up the difference for them? Or maybe you paid for all their groceries. How did that feel afterward? Did you feel fulfilled in a sense? What about someone you knew needed some encouragement, so you spoke to them and you gave them some words of encouragement that you thought they needed to hear? Or maybe you wrote them a note. Maybe it was someone who you knew was lonely and you went to go visit them, or maybe you sat with them and listened to them as they poured out their heart to you. Maybe it was a neighbor who needed some help in working in their yard or with their house or with something else around their house, and you would lend them a helping hand, and you would actually show them the love of God, the love that God has for them by the way that you served them. Maybe it was in some other capacity that you did something good for someone else, and when you did that, there was a satisfaction that you felt within you, just a fullness that you felt within you. What Jesus is telling us is that there is strength that we can gain from doing good for others, from doing what is right. That when we desire to do what is right, even in a world that's filled with darkness, that there is a way that we are satisfied and that it helps us to persevere, to continue to do good for others, and that might help them to do good as well. There's a fullness that we have. So my encouragement to you is to follow the example of Jesus, to do the will of God, to seek and hunger and thirst for righteousness so that you can bless the lives of others. And in doing that, God will bless you. God will help you to be fulfilled as well. I hope this is an encouragement to you, and I hope that you have a blessed day.